Hey, you made it. By now, you've definitely already heard of Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson, which is happening this coming Friday. And I just thought I'd chime in on this because I haven't actually talked about it all on this channel yet. So, this hit the headlines quite a few months back with the massive age difference between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and then the partnership with Netflix as Netflix's first, boxing event or first pay per view, essentially, I think it is. But that's not really the point I'm getting at here. My point of this video is this is just a lose-lose for Jake Paul. If he beats Mike Tyson is 58 and Jake Paul is 27. If he beats Mike Tyson, he's beating someone who was a heavyweight champion like 20 years ago. That just means absolutely nothing. If he gets beaten by Mike Tyson, he's basically been beaten up by his dad. like Jake Paul's dad is 61 years old, and Mike Tyson is 58. So Jake Paul's dad is 3 years older than Mike Tyson. So he's basically just going to get beaten up by his dad if he loses, and hopefully this will be the end of these dumbass boxing fights that he keeps doing. But the point of this video that I'm going to make really is Mike Tyson seems a lot bigger than he should be at age 58. I know he was a big guy when he was younger, Jesus. He was huge when he was a heavyweight, don't get me wrong, but by the age of 30, your testosterone is going to start to decline. How the hell does he look like this? How does he look like that when he's 58, bro? This is what I'm trying to say here. I watched a Philion video about a year ago saying this is why Jake Paul's on steroids. And I mean, if you look at the size of him, he just looks like a chicken breast. His underarms in this picture are connected to his chest. He just looks like a triangle, but not in a good way. His nipples seem awfully central as well, but we'll get to that later. But Philion made a pretty convincing video saying why he's definitely on drugs. He just looks way too big, way too lean for how big he actually is, and where he started from as well. You can't blame genetics for this kind of thing. But then I looked at it next to Mike Tyson, who is 58. How does he look this big, bro? Honestly. I get it, he was 109 kilos or 105 kilos. I can't remember his actual weight, but he was a big guy 20 years ago, and he is still a big guy now. But look how vascular he is. His traps are separated. He has a massive vein running down both biceps. His chest is bigger than Jake Paul's in this picture. His biceps are probably bigger than Jake Paul's in this picture. I'm gonna go out there and say it. I'm pretty sure Mike Tyson has hopped on something for before this fight. And whether that's steroids or whatever else biosimilars that are available these days, he must have taken something to look like this, because there's just absolutely no way at 58 years old you do not have the testosterone to put on this much muscle mass. To lose that much fat and to gain that much muscle mass back. Your muscle mass declines after 40 anyway. This is why powerlifters are all 35 is the absolute peak. Any above that, there's a couple of people, but it's just not realistic, is it? Especially not knocking on to nearly 60 years old. So it's a point I've not really heard anybody talk about, but I do definitely think he must have gotten something to look like this. Because there's another picture here that's just what the hell is this, bro? Look how big his chest is, and look how big his arms are, and his traps. Yeah, it looks like it could be natural for somebody who's 40 years old, not nearly 60, bro. I'm gonna hear it all in the comments and all these things trying to defend it and saying it's just genetics and he was big anyway. If he looked like this and he was 35, I'd be okay, that is probably achievable, Henry Cavill level of achievable. But not at 58. There is absolutely no chance he has not taken something there. I just don't believe it. So argue with me all you want about that point. That was the main point I was making in this video. It's just ridiculous to look like that and be 58. I don't care what genetics you've got going on, how big you were 40 years ago. It's just not it. It's just not it at all, bro. And then if you get up a picture of him in his peak, he basically looks almost the same. He doesn't look quite as big and inflated, but he still looks absolutely massive at 58. So it just isn't it. It's just crazy, bro, honestly. I honestly don't know who's going to win, though, because Jake Paul isn't even a boxer in my eyes. He has beaten absolutely nobody of anything respectable in their prime. He's beaten nobody who's actually fighting right now. All he's fought is retired people who, yeah, everybody's heard of them, but they're not a fighter right now. It just doesn't make any sense. And especially with Mike Tyson, who I don't even know when he last fought. I think it was 10 years ago. I mean, he retired in 2005, didn't he? That's nearly 20 years ago, bro. He is ultimate retired. Like I said before, he's basically fighting his dad at this point, and it's crazy to me. But at the same time, people are going to watch it and people are going to talk about it as I'm talking about it right now. So I guess I'm part of the problem, really. But like, Jesus, bro, what has boxing actually even come to? I don't really follow that much sports. Like, I'm not a big fan of boxing as it is, but the amount of like absolute mockery of the sport I've seen in the past like 5 to 10 years, it seems like ever since Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather, it's just completely just destroyed boxing as a sport. You've got influencer boxing that I just don't know why anyone cares about. Why does anyone want to see KSI fight anybody? I just couldn't care less. The same with Jake Paul. Why does anybody watch this crap, man? It just makes no sense. Why is there an audience for this absolute rubbish? And I always thought about it with Jake Paul. I know that it's people just like me, for example. My only interest in this is to just see him get his ass handed to him by someone. And I know that's probably what the big appeal is. You just want to see him get decked, but he won't because the guy he's fighting is 40 years older than he is. I mean, yeah, Mike Tyson probably can still punch, like, there's no doubt about that. He's not going to have lost any of his, like, ability, but he is old, so, and he is out of practice. Like, yeah, he looks good now, but he's still 58. There's still the age and the stamina. Like, if this isn't decided in the first, like, 3 or 4 rounds, I don't think Mike Tyson's going to have the stamina to last. Despite Jake Paul being, like, crap in my opinion, and just not a boxer at all, he'll have stamina. Like, he'll have trained a ridiculous amount, and he is the same age as me, so he's going to have a lot of energy, I suppose, but it's just such a baffling thing to me. I really do not enjoy these kind of things, though, because they get paid an absolutely ridiculous amount for doing this stuff, and then you got people that box, like, their whole life professionally and earn, like, peanuts because they're not a celebrity that's done it, and I kind of think it trashes the whole, like, purpose of having boxing as a profession, as a sport. Anyone that's, like, a professional in these sports, the influencers kind of take over. I just think it completely ruins the whole point of the sport, in my opinion. It's not spectacle anymore. It's just getting boring. It just needs to change up and be something else, because this just isn't it. It's like when MMA fighters switched to boxing. Like, everybody wanted to see Ngannou beat Tyson Fury, and I mean, he almost did, but he just isn't a boxer. This, like, inter-sport sort of thing that people seem to have going, it sells, though. So we are, I guess, to blame for this actually becoming popular. Like, if it didn't sell tickets, if it didn't sell pay-per-views, we wouldn't have it. So there is an element of entertainment, I can see that, but it just feels like such a low blow to all those people that work really, really hard and have it as an actual profession, and they can't earn enough money to even live off it some of the time. Like, it's just insulting to me, and I really don't like it. I'm not a boxer, I'm not a professional fighter, I'm not, like, I don't even really fight at all. Like, I've never even been in a fight. I did some karate when I was like 12, but like, I know people that box, I know people that are into sports, and it just seems like such a shoddy thing to me. I know a lot of people have said this already, so you're probably sick of hearing it, but I don't know. I kind of wish influencer boxing would just die and go away, or just become charity. Like, give the money to charity and do something charitable and give money away to people. Don't just make $100 million for just getting punched in the head by a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. Sorry, 58. But yeah, it just honestly really annoys me. And even if he wins this fight, what is even going to be next for Jake Paul? Like, who else is he going to be fighting? Like, is there anyone older? I'm sure if Muhammad Ali was still alive, he'd be he'd be after him for a fight, no doubt. But like, come on, man. What are even the next steps? If he loses to Mike Tyson, who does he fight next? Because he'll be disgraced. If he wins to Mike Tyson, who does he fight next? Because he'll be disgraced for beating a champion of like 20 years ago. It's just idiotic. He needs to fight someone his own age, his own size, and who is actually pro, and he will get destroyed. He will get torn apart. I don't know anything about combat sports other than the things I've watched, but I know for a fact, if you put someone highly skilled in a sport that they've done their whole life and are the same age as Jake Paul, he will get destroyed. He will get absolutely torn to pieces, and there is no doubt in my mind about that. All he's done is fight people 10 to 15 years his senior that are retired. Like, they were good at the sport when they were not retired, when they were active, but they're not going to be good at it now, or as good. Yeah, they'll still whoop most of the people on the street that would come at them or whatever, but somebody who has trained hours and hours and hours and hours and is 27, they're probably going to have the upper hand, whether they're well trained or not. But if you put someone against him that is the same age, you have to give me an example like in the comments, like, who do you think would beat Jake Paul, other than Mike Tyson on Friday, but... But it just baffles me. Clearly it's done on purpose to just drive more interest in it. Like, oh, he's fighting another person that's 20 years older than him. It's like, it's just done to attract more attention to these fights. And also then he knows he actually has a chance of winning against somebody and can say, oh, look, guys, I beat this guy who was really popular. It's just so dumb to me and I hate it. But This has been a bit of a mini rant for you guys. You'll have to let me know who you think will actually win in the comments, and who you want Jake Paul to fight next. Let's see him fight Francis Ngannou and see if he can actually win that one, eh? Could you imagine how much money that would pull in, though? Jesus. Anyway, enough of that. If you made it this far in the video, please make sure you subscribe. It'll really help the channel out. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.